Hi, this is Kathi Quinn with Floriani. Floriani is a division of R&K Distributing, and I want to welcome you to this week's project of the week. Well, I needed to make a border of chevrons. And if we look in our Total Quilter, the Floriani Total Quilter, we don't have borders. We have lots and lots of blocks, hundreds of blocks. But I thought, you know what, I need a border, so I think I'll create one. So I thought I would share how easy it is to create a border. What I did is I came into the artwork blocks that is My Decorative Quilter. Remember, pink icons, the rosy pink icons are My Decorative Quilter. All the purple will be Appliquilt, and the blue is My Quilt Builder. Well, I'm going to go into these artwork blocks because they haven't been turned into Appliquilt yet. These are already done for us, but I need a border that's not in there. So I'm going to left mouse click here, and I'm going to come in my basic blocks. You have several categories, and I'm going to come down, and here's a chevron. Now I'm going to, the custom size right now is 6.5. I want this to be finished. I want this to be 2 inches by 2 inches. So now that I've done that, it came in as a 2 by 2 inch block. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this block because I need a border. Now what is going to be our limitation? The length of our border, the limitation will be the length of our hoop. And remember, you've got a seam allowance around this, whether it's 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, depending on how you're going to use this border. Whether you're going to sew it in traditionally in a maybe a binding a border around a quilt. Maybe I'm going to add it into a table runner. And so if I'm just going to add them to one another, I might have a 1/4 inch seam allowance. If I was going to create this and put batting behind it and have a sashing, then of course my border would be wider for the quilt as you go method. But right now I'm going to do traditional quilting as far as adding these together. Because remember, what if I need a border that's longer than my hoop? Well, I'd have to create more than one strip. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to right mouse click copy, right mouse click paste. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this block straight down. Now I'm using my arrow keys to do it. You can definitely drag and drop it. There's no reason why you can't. So we'll do it both ways. So now I don't want any white showing between. I don't want to overrun it, but see how I have that little white? I don't want any. I want this to be kissing, butted right up. Now let's right mouse click copy, and let's right mouse click paste again. So now I'm just going to drag this down. Again, I want to kiss it. There we go. So now I've got 6 inches, 2, 4, 6. I can actually do 12 inches, so I could continue on, but we're going to stay with just the 3, so the class won't take all night. So now I've got these 3. Now what I'm going to do before I do anything is I'm going to zoom in and make sure that I'm kissing. I don't have any space in between these blocks. Perfect. I'm good. I'm a happy girl here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all items, and I'm actually going to rotate this 90 degrees, and the reason being is I can actually see more, excuse me, I'm going to fit it to screen. I can actually make it a little bigger than if I had done it vertically. My screen's wider for me horizontally. So now that I've got this, and I'm thinking this looks a little weird. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click off, and I'm going to click on this one block. Whoops. Well, now I messed it up. I'm going to come back in. It looked like maybe it was overlapped and not just kissing. There we go. Now what I can do is select all items, and I'm going to align the centers or vertically. There we go. So now I know they're lined up perfect, and I'm still not liking how this one looks. There, nope. Yeah, I think it's my screen. Okay, we're good. Now that we're here, this is just artwork, but it's my guidelines. So I want to create an applique quilt block. So I'm going to come here to my Create Applique Quilt Block tool, and I'm going to click on this corner, and I'm going to drag this across, making sure I don't have white. See, if I made it too long or too wide, I want it to be right up against that artwork. Perfect. Now that I've got that, what it's telling me is I've created that. Now I can continue to create lines. Now what is real important here is that when you click right outside that solid black line. So I'm going to left mouse click. I'm going to come to my center. I'm going to left mouse click. I'm going to come up to the right outside that line and left mouse click. Now I'm going to hit enter. Let me close this. Now I'm going to hit enter. So now I'm going to right outside that line, left mouse click, go to my little point, left mouse click, come right over here outside that line, left mouse click, hit enter. Now we're going to just continue on. Left mouse click, left mouse click. Now what if I went weird? I could just delete, and it will delete next to the last clicked in point. Now I can left mouse click, hit enter. Now we're talking about enter on your keyboard. Some machines call it return. Now I'm going to left mouse click, left, right outside the lines. Remember to stay outside the black lines with these clicks. Left, enter, left mouse click, left. Now if you're just a hair off one way or the other, it doesn't matter because your pieces are going to be cut so they butt up against each other. So if you're a fraction, just a hair off, you're not going to be able to tell. Left mouse click, left mouse click, and left mouse click, hit enter. Now I have done all my lines. Now that I'm finished totally with those, I'm going to right mouse click. And what that's going to do is it's going to create my applique quilt block. So let's come over here. Let's get all items and rotate 90 degrees so it's back the way I wanted it. Good deal. Now you see it's just a hair off here. It's not really going to matter because they're all going to butt. We've got 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're good. Now if you go to OCD University, you'd start over. I'm good. Right now I'm into horseshoes, not hand grenades. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do my fabrics. Now and the reason I'm doing that is I'm going to let a cutter cut them, and I want to be able to see I want to be able to see the two fabrics so that they're separated for my cutter. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to come right up here to my applique quilt object selection. Now we're working with applique quilt. So I'm going to select this fabric. I'm going to hold down my control key, select number 3, hold down my control key, select 5, hold down my control key, and select my last one. Now I'm going to come into my fabrics and I'm going to make all of these, I don't know, let's make them pink. Make Debbie happy. Now I'm going to come back and I'm going to select this fabric. There's one. I'm going to hold my control key. I'm going to keep going down, hold my control key, and let's go to fabric and let's make it green. Okay, so there's my chevrons. Now what I need to do is I want to put the decorative stitch, the binding stitch that's going to hold this all together. So now I'm going to select and I'm going to click on those stitches. I'm going to hold my control key and I'm going to click on each side of all of these. I'm going to select all the stitches because in this I'd want all the stitches the same. You could do each one different, all personal preference. Now that I've selected that, notice I've got some options. Well, I'm going to tell it I need a run motif here. Now I can come in here and I can go to my binding motifs. I can use any of them. I could use crazy quilting, regular motifs, but I'm going to go to my binding motifs and I'm going to drop this down. Now I'm not going to use anything that's too busy because I want my chevrons to look really good and nicely quilted. I might just use something simple. Maybe this one right here, this one. I'll use this, AQ41. Now I've got to apply. Now that's been applied to all of this. So here we are, we're done. Now I'm going to select my block, not my artwork, because what I'm interested in is the block. The artwork was incidental. It was just there so I could create from it. I could trace it. Now I'm going to go to my block itself. And now that I've selected it, I am going to export this applique quilt block. And I'm going to call this chevrons. And here's what I'm going to do. Yeah, chevron. And I'm going to say this is a 2 by 6 because this is just 6 inches long. I want that 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to save it for my machine. Whatever machine you're working on, you got them all right here. There's no machine missing. I'm going to go ahead and save for my cut files, SVG, because all cutters read them. Now, if you do not have a cutter, why? Everybody should have a digital cutter. We use it for so much in embroidery now. But if you do not yet, you can come down here and select this for manual cutting. So you would go ahead and select manual cutting. I'm going with the digital cutter, so I'm happy. I'm going to export this. And what it's going to do is it's going to create all the files I need to create this border. Now, what I would do is I'm going to go ahead and these are my cut files. You can see SVGs, but let's look at what that looks like. So let's get a new piece of paper and let's go to our library applique quilt and let's go to our chevron border 2 by 6. Now notice what it's done for me. It's got all my artwork files. Okay, so let's get the reason I went ahead and put fabric in, it would have cut all the files if I hadn't done any fabric. But I want to know what to cut out of which fabric. So this makes it easy for me. And you can see what's going to happen here is these are all going to fit inside one another. So that makes it real fun, simple to do. So there's that. Now the next thing we've got in here, or the most important thing at this point, is to stitch it out. So here we go. Now there it is. So what's going to happen? It's going to stitch out my placement lines. Now I'm going to stick all my pieces in. Now it's going to do my cool decorative stitching, my binding motif, and then it's going to stitch so I know where my 1/4 inch seam allowance is. So now I have wonderful, beautiful chevrons done. How cool is this? You can make your border as long as you can get it in your hoop, and then you could go ahead and sew them together with your 1/4 inch seam allowance for as long as you need it. I think this is a lot of fun. I think you'll enjoy. So I hope you enjoyed tonight, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.